Good morning, guys. Good morning. So today is uh, a morning that we are going to get right into today's exercise, guys. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world. If you are listening on this broadcast, I thank you. We are going to talk about some of the problems that are currently going on. While you were sleeping, other people was busy continuing to do what they do. So we are going to continue to do what we do, which is spread information and give you some of the top headlines of what's going on in the world right now. So if you're tuning in, I'd like to wish you a good morning. I hope that you have a good day today. It is currently 7:40 a.m. Central Time Zone. So if you are in New York, I wish you a good morning. If you are on the West Coast, it's a little bit earlier. And we're going to get right to it, you guys.
Gen Z, my generation, I think is honestly the worst generation. I just got off work, I'm in my car and I'm scrolling and I see yet again another girl in my generation crying about how she doesn't want to work. Now, don't get me wrong, I know inflation is crazy and I know that jobs aren't paying you as much as they should to keep up with inflation. However, everyone needs to work an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. That's literally life, okay? I think the problem with my generation stems from everyone started working a lot later than other generations previously. I started working when I was 14, but a lot of people my age didn't start working until they finished college, honestly. And I think that's a big problem. So I think part of it is like they're not used to working, but everyone works 8-hour days, 5 days a week, full time. That's how it is. And life isn't fair. So if you're my generation watching this, just get a job.
See, the problem with when people talk like this is that they're not really focused on a solution to the problem. They're not really focused on the solution to the problem. What they're focused on is just doing what everyone else is doing. Okay? I'm not telling her that she's wrong what she's thinking, but it's a generation of people out here that's struggling. Yesterday, guys, I did a stream where I talked about what's going on in the the world right now. We have a housing crisis. We have people that can't pay their medical bills, guys.
My husband sought medical care and it was taken care of by them. And even though that happened, they sold his debt to a second party person that collects debt. And now they're trying to make it our problem that they made that mistake. Let's get in. Okay, so a couple years ago, my husband goes to the ER to get seen. His work pretty much told him, if you don't have a note, you're fired. So we had no choice. We had no medical insurance, okay? As soon as he got home that day, I filed for the charity write-off program because we qualified for it, sent them all the paperwork. 2 months after that, we get approval letter. We move on. We never get any other statements in the mail, nothing like that. I'm like, okay, cool. They took care of it. Flash forward to a few months ago. I get served by a process server for my husband, okay? It's for medical debt. I'm like, that's crazy. He's only been to the hospital twice since we've been together and both times have been written off. So I know he doesn't owe this, but I'll let him take care of it when he gets home. Gets home, calls the fucking place. They're like, yeah, you owe this medical debt. He goes, well, can you talk to my wife because she knows more of the details? They get on the phone with me. I'm like, hey, both of these have been charity write-off. Do you have the account number? Like, is this and this match? They couldn't give us the medical bill, which was fucking crazy to me, but whatever. I don't know how this works. Had was for the previous bill. It's not for the bill they're talking about. But I was like, how do I get it? Because it was written off and approved. They pretty much tell me that, like, if we don't make a payment on this debt, they're going to sue us for everything we're fucking worth. And that I need to contact the hospital he went to get the charity write-off paper, if they even still have it, from years ago. I'm like, cool. Well, I went through my filing cabinet a couple weeks ago. Okay, mind you, we set up $50 a month payments. I think we've made a total of $500 or $600 in payments towards this bill. I went through our filing cabinet the other day, and long and behold, I find the charity write-off paperwork for that specific account and calls them. He's like, hey, I found the paper. I don't owe you guys shit. I would like my money back, and what do I need to do? They say, send us the paperwork, and we will assess to make sure you don't owe the debt. He calls them today, and they're like, yeah, we received the paperwork, but here's the thing. They insinuate that because the debt was sent to CarePoint, that now CarePoint is owed the debt, and since the write-off was through Wesley, that it might not even be wrote off. That's not how that works, and I know that. I said absolutely not. He goes, okay, can I please, since I don't owe this debt, that's what we're seeing right now in front of us, all the numbers match, can I please get the money I paid towards the debt I didn't owe back? They pretty much are like, well, that's between, even though we paid to this specific company that we're on the phone with. They're saying, no, you need to contact CarePoint to get your money back from them, if they even allow it. Excuse the fuck out of me, if they allow it. So now we're sitting here stressed out. So we're like, we paid debt that we didn't fucking owe. We didn't have the money to pay them. But they were literally threatening to garnish our accounts, garnish my husband's wages. We had no choice but to set up a payment plan with these people. They threatened the fuck out of us. Their law office did. That's very important because I know they can't, but the lawyers can't. Only to like pay debt we didn't even know, and now they're acting like they can't give us our money back. What? My husband sought medical care, and it was taken care of by a charity run.
I want people to realize that with every part of our society that we depend on, that we depend on to help us, is actually folding, as the young people would say, meaning that we won't be able to do it. And I'm going to show you in this live stream why we're actually living in a world without justice. Justice meaning the people who need the most constructive help receive it. So we're going to cover education, economics, labor, law, politics. I'm going to touch on a few key areas that is central right now, like world conflict. And basically, most people, guys, are actually living below the level that they should be living, guys. We should be living in a world where everyone is able to get basic needs
physical
met.
assets, because the stock market is an illusion. And I don't know about you, but people aren't retiring. I don't know anyone that's able to retire. Why are you saving money for a time you might not even see? Americans live to like the average of 76 these days. Why are you saving for a time that you may never see? Invest in physical assets. Have them in your home where you can see them and touch them. Gold, silver, precious metals, real estate, all of those things. Stop investing in the stock market. It's a sham. They want you to put your money in there so that they can use it and gain interest off it and then penalize you for taking it out. Stop investing in it. It's garbage. And look at what is happening to all the other markets. The stock market in Japan is plummeting, and we are not far off. Physical.
Guys, so many people right now are looking for ways to retire, guys. Check this.
This just in. Okay, so when I first saw this article, I was like, none of this information is useful to me because I already know I am going to be way off track. And I was right. It's because I'm living the swank life, single and with no kids. Now, I know someone in the comment section is going to be like, immediately, yes, that he spelled swank, Steve. That's sonk. LOL. Yes, I know. That's why I said swank life, single and with no kids. I know some woman is probably going to watch this and be like, what about single woman and no kids? That's swank. You know what? I came up with it. Yeah, no. Who came up with it? Really? This guy. Anyway, so I've been living this basically the single life. So my money goes towards my bills. It goes towards buying film equipment. I buy props, prop knife, prop money, and other props for filming. And I use the money for traveling with my friends. So I'm having fun. Now, I do know I should be saving, and this article did give me a little bit of a reality check. Like, this article is either going to be a reality check for some, especially if you're younger. Like, if you're in your 20s, pay attention to this. Because, like I said, it's going to be either an eye-opener reality check for some, it's going to be depressing for others. But let's begin anyway. Okay. So, it says by your mid to late 30s, you should have 1 to 1.5 times your annual income saved. Let's start off with, let's say you're on the low end, you're making $50,000 a year. So you should have $50,000 to $75,000 saved in your account by your mid to late 30s. Now that right there, I'm already out because I got the zeros, but I don't have the other numbers to complete that 5-figure sequence. So, like, I wish I had $50,000 to $75,000 saved in my account. My bank account wishes it had $50,000 to $75,000 in it. Too. My bank account is like, I'm hungry. I got my bank account out there lean and mean. Anyway, now if you're in your 50s, it says you should have 3.5 to 5.5 times your annual income. So again, let's say you're still working that $50,000 a year job. You should have $175,000 to $275,000 saved in your account. And by your 60s, you should have 7.5 to 13.5 times your annual income. So again, you're still at that $50,000 job, a year job. You're just at your 60s like, yo, this is it for me. I have arrived. You should have $375,000 to $675,000 saved in your account by your 60s. Now,
Guys, most people are not going to have the money that they need to retire. Think about that for a second. Most people are literally going to work until they expire, guys. This is a world without justice, guys. Now, we live in a society where instead of looking at the bigger picture, we're taught to blame ourselves. Someone in the comments is going to tell me probably work harder, save more, budget more. In one way, I would say that's a person trying to be constructive. That's good advice. But if it was possible to budget or save oneself out of an economic system, why don't poor countries do it? Why don't the United States as a nation pay off its $1 trillion debt? Think about this, guys. If we're saying that you should save money, budget yourself out of the money, how come as a nation we don't do it? Think about that. If you're saying as an individual that the individual should be able to do it, cool. But as a nation, we can't even do that. It takes millions of people to make up the nation. That's what I never understand about people that's in the finance industry when they start talking about, hey, save this much of your income and put this up and invest this and then you get this. Not realizing that, guys, it seems that the game is rigged, guys. I know people who have invested, and guess what, guys? They have lost a lot of money investing.
So the median retirement savings for people aged 25 to 34 right now is about $18,000. This is how much they should have saved up by now. It's about $100,000. Ages 35 to 44 have saved up on average about $45,000, but they should have about $250,000. Ages 45 to 54 have only saved up about $115,000, but they should have nearly $550,000. While ages 55 to 64 only have about $185,000, they should have close to about $1.25 million. And then lastly, people age 65 getting ready to retire have only saved up about $200,000, but they should have saved up close to nearly $2 million. This is why traditional financial planning does not work. The numbers don't
This is why, let me play that again, guys.
So the median retirement savings for people aged 25 to 34 right now is about $18,000. This is how much they should have saved up by now. It's about $100,000. Ages 35 to 44 have saved up on average about $45,000, but they should have about $250,000. Ages 45 to 54 have only saved up about $115,000, but they should have nearly $550,000. While ages 55 to 64 only have about $185,000, they should have close to about $1.25 million. And then lastly, people age 65 getting ready to retire have only saved up about $200,000, but they should have saved up close to nearly $2 million. This is why traditional financial planning does not work. The numbers don't back it up. People
are behind, guys. Now check this. Let's look at what the young people are going through, right? Let's look at, in fact, we're going to take a spin. Let's look at what the old people are going through. Okay?
You've worked 40 years and you still can't retire, and you are terrified you're going to have to be a Walmart greeter. Guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Marianne, and in May of 2023, I was broke.
Guys, this is a reality. So many older people can't retire, guys. Think about that, man. Who wants to be 50? Honestly, imagine working from the time you're, let's say, 18 to 21, all the way up until you're 70, guys. It's one thing to work when you want to work. It's a whole nother ball game when you're forced to work.
Okay, here's something that most people probably don't really think about, because you're so used to seeing the elderly and maybe your own grandparents, the boomers that have their pensions, retirements, and you know that money's tight. They use coupons, they don't do much, but they manage, they get by. Most people going forward, especially if you're probably like under 50, you will never retire. Almost nobody will in the future. There's so many things that have gone wrong between the inflation, the complete removal of pensions. Even a lot of pensions that are out there are going to have trouble one day with the markets. You could talk about the national debt, you could talk about pending interest rates, but there's so much going on. I think Denmark, even over in Europe, they just pushed their retirement age to 70. That's what we're trying to do right now. We're basically going to have to push Social Security back. Nobody's going to get rid of Social Security. What they're going to do is they're going to push it back so far that you'll be dead before you ever get it. And it's because it's really an illiquid system. I think for every 2 people paying into it, there's somebody receiving it. The government has leached off of Social Security for so long. Then what they did is they attached the Social Security Disability Fund, which is, the last I checked.
I'm going to rewind that because he's dropping gems, okay?
You could talk about the national debt, you could talk about pending interest rates, but there's so much going on. I think Denmark, even over in Europe, they just pushed their retirement age to 70. That's what we're trying to do right now. We're basically going to have to push Social Security back. Nobody's going to get rid of Social Security. What they're going to do is they're going to push it back so far that you'll be dead before you ever get it. And it's because it's really an illiquid system. I think for every 2 people paying into it, there's somebody receiving it. The government has leached off of Social Security for so long. Then what they did is they attached the Social Security Disability Fund, which is, the last I checked, probably somewhere around 13 million people are collecting off of it. And that comes from Social Security also. So people used to get the full amount at 62.5. That's crazy inflation. And then even with that, you'll hear people say that, I can't live off of that. And what they do is they have another retirement. Like my parents, they're lucky. They did good. They were both retired military, and then they became teachers, and then they just retired as teachers. So they're basically both double retired, and now they get Social Security. My generation will get nothing. I will not have I did not work in the government. That's great for all those government workers out there that will get all those taxpayer pensions. But what about the rest of us that pay into it? We're going to get nothing. I won't have a pension from a job because jobs don't give pensions anymore. And Social Security won't be there at the full amount at 62 and a half like it was for your parents. You'll have to wait till you're 70 minimum. And by the time you get to that age, if you can hold out to 70 to try to get the full amount, they'll have pushed it back to 72, 74. The point is they need everybody to keel over because they don't have the money to give you anymore. The good old days are done. Inflationary pressure is still there, and it's going to keep going because your government doesn't know how to stop printing more. They don't know how to stop printing money, funding foreign wars, and doing things that basically destroy our dollar. And they just don't know how to stop. And
Guys, the funny thing is when people like me talk about injustice, no one hears. But hold on, it gets worse. We got to talk about how bad it is because a lot of times people are not living in reality. Think about this. Our future generations are going to have problems that are so insurmountable. They would have to be perfect in order to overcome these problems. Teachers are quitting their jobs. Truck drivers are quitting their jobs. People on the internet that's streaming are making more money than people with traditional jobs, college degrees, people that's working 60 and 70 hours. Guys, Americans are unable to work and retire. Currently, we have insurmountable kids with insurmountable debt in regards to student loans, 40, 50, $60,000 that graduate as no jobs. Currently, guys, we have single parent households, parents using the child support system as the safety net for survival. Guys, things are really bad. We have people not procreating and making children because they are afraid that basically that they won't be able to take care of them. Guys, we're living in a world without justice. And most people are not going to discuss it. Why? Because they have hopes of one day becoming rich. And since most people have this idea that they're going to get rich one day, they don't want to criticize the system, guys. Check this.
Unfortunately, this video has to be in the draft until I have some semblance of a second job because I don't need people all up in my business until I even know what my business is. But I am going on my 4th interview as of recently, and I'm just overstimulated with interviews. I just am the performance of them all, and it's just like, I know what I bring to the table, but I have to now convince you, and it's just a lot. I've done the same hair makeup combo like 6 times. I'm pretty sure I wore these to a different interview. This is like my go-to look. I'm pretty sure I wore a blouse like this on one of my interviews in blue, and then I had like 2 different fits. I probably will post those later, but we don't talk enough about like this process is just so annoying and dehumanizing. It feels dehumanizing. Should I say that? Should it feel dehumanizing to go on a bunch of interviews? But it's just like, I wish I knew the progress of other interviews, but those take a long time to get feedback because the other ones are like college interviews, like college positions. So it's just taking forever to get feedback. And I just would like to know, because like if I got one of the other positions, and I hate wasting people's time because I have like a ranking of the jobs that I want, but I'm in no position to turn down any interviews because right now I don't have anything 100% solid. So, and I need to figure out what my next year is going to look like. Yes, ideally I did resign from my current position on purpose. So like I didn't have to be without a job, but I just want something different, closer than home. The commute is 45 minutes. I can't do that anymore. Like if I'm going to be teaching in some capacity, it would need to be close to here. But if you saw my teacher wanting to quit video, which is posted, I really don't want to teach. There's only one teaching job that I am applying for, and if I get it, I will explain why that one is something I would do still. But every other thing I've applied for is not teaching because I feel like I need a mental break. Anyway, I'm about to go to my 4th interview as of recently. And I'm tired of interviews, honestly.
I would rather eat a roach from the New York streets than go back to my 9 to 5 ever again. And just thinking about it grosses me out. But just thinking about me going back to the career that left me stressed and overwhelmed, yeah, not happening. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Tamara, and I was a tired, overworked educator. I was burnt out, missing time for my family and missing time for myself. And I was praying for a way out. Then I was able to find a simple online business model that made complete sense. No creating products, no tech skills, just a proven blueprint that helps me to learn how to earn $900 days. And all I have to do is create content, be consistent, and utilize my support system.
And see, guys, I stopped the video on that one because this is the reality that we're going to. Like, if you don't know how to make money on the internet, you're going to struggle. Our only hope is the internet. The internet is our new global economy. If you can't make money on the internet and you're clocking into a day job, not saying it's a bad thing, it could supplement your income, but it's not going to be enough. Why? Because jobs are not paying enough. Jobs are not paying enough. And everyone knows it. And if people think that people are going to have kids and people are not going to make babies, guys. So if there might be one child families, people might have one child, but look around, guys. Our parents had, most of our parents had multiple siblings, more than one. Some of us have multiple siblings. Not the new generation, guys. Especially in so-called first world countries, people are going to be by themselves, guys. It's just going to be mom, dad, and possibly a kid. But a lot of people are just going to have a cat, a dog, pets, and they're just going to get old. That's it. Now, why is this going on? Because the game has changed. The game has changed, guys, and everyone knows it. Some people don't know what to do. So check this. Parents were taught, go to school, go to college, go to the military, get a job. The system will support you. Ha. This is the problem, guys. The system isn't supporting people. That's the whole problem, guys. The system isn't supporting people, guys. Man. And everyone is looking for the job that's going to pay. So when there is a certain field that people start making more money than average after taxes, then what happens? Everyone floods into their market. Tech was a big thing a couple years ago. Now tech people are being laid off. Real estate was a big thing a few years ago. Now people are moved on from that. We have these bubbles. Uh, It's crazy, guys. And you know what the biggest problem is? When you're this stressed out, you can't think clearly. When you're super stressed out, you can't think clearly. You can't think clearly because you're stressed.
People are always saying that the average American makes $45,000 a year. Where does the average American work? I want to make $45,000 a year. Are you kidding me? The most I have ever made is $30,000 in a year. Where are these people working that they're making $45,000? Like, don't just tell me that they're making $45,000 a year. Where do they work? Is their job hiring? I need more details. Like, where are they getting these numbers from? I don't think I know anybody in my life who is making $45,000 a year. Like, that is insane. I think that's like the average, only because like there's literal billionaires who are making like so much in a year that like regular people, they're like, oh, the average is 45,000. The average person, I would say, probably makes like 30,000, like 35,000. Like, you're not making $45,000 an hour on like a $15 an hour fast food salary. Like, where are the people who are making $45,000 a year? Where are they working? Are they hiring? Tell me that, America! People are always saying that the average American makes $45,000 a year. Where does the average American work? I want to make $45,000 a year.
See, guys, the system is not supporting the people, guys. Okay? Check this out. And see, I'm going to tell you a lot of the people that's going to get older, guys. I want you to remember some of the things that you told young people, because who is going to take care of you guys? See, that's the other side of the game. A lot of times people are going to, because people are intelligent, people are going to think, oh, I am I'm just not going to have kids. Cool. But what's going to happen if Social Security isn't going to pay you? If you don't have money for retirement, what's going to happen to you if you can't afford your medical bills, your health changes? Okay? Young people, we need older people too. Older people provide us with wisdom, information, knowledge, constructive criticism. Our family units are under attack, guys. That's the point that I'm making. Our family units are under attack. We're experiencing a series of events that's causing us to retreat into alienation, isolation, and rejection.
Yo, so I'm doing some research and I just looked up
Check this, guys.
what the average rent is in the United States. Before I give you the answer, what do you think the average rent is?
I would say the average rent in the United States, I would say, is anywhere between, I would say, $1,200 in most, for like a one bedroom, sometimes two bedrooms. Once you get into the two or three, like family units, I'm going to say you're looking at $2,000 monthly. And in more desirable locations, you're looking at on average about $2,500 to maybe close to $4,000 monthly in more desired locations. I think what throws this number off is There's cheaper apartments, but they're in environments that are food deserts, crime ridden, poverty, bad schools. No one wants to live there. So since yeah, they do have some places where you can get in the South and the Midwest and different places where it's really cheap to live. But once you start talking about, I think instead of asking what's the average rent in the country, I think people should ask what's the average rent in the desired locations, the places that people actually want to live. What is the rent in the desired locations that people actually want to live, you guys? Not in the whole country, because the whole country is so vast. It's places that's really cheap. But can you afford to pay rent in the desired location with the good schools, with the good jobs, with um shopping centers, and you're not in a food desert, and you don't have to travel so far to get to and from work, that type of environment? Those areas are going to cost more.
The average rent is $1,500. So it's $1,500. $1,538 to be exact. Man. So if you under that, you're doing a good job. A little bit. But if you're over that, you got some money. But yeah, I was just like, dang, that's crazy. 1538. I remember back then, rent was $2. I'm saying it like I'm old. I'm not even old. But nah, that's crazy. I just had to let you guys know if you didn't know. Now you know. Average rent, 1538.
And this is the disconnect that, like, a lot of young people are going to have with their parents or their grandparents, because if you're not going to help, they don't want to hear it.
Wouldn't you think in the United States that you could find a one-bedroom apartment, just a not a nothing fancy, nothing new, for $1,500, a one-bedroom? It doesn't have to have a pool, just the necessities. Yeah, well, I went out there today and I just got back. I've been gone since 8 o'clock this morning and I'm just getting in. Every single apartment that said they were 1,500 or real close to that, when I got there, they said, "Oh, that's already gone, but we have another one for 1,600." Yeah. And so I say, okay, let me look at it. And then I look at it and then I come back and I'm not that impressed, but I need to find a place to live. Okay, so then I sit down and then they start saying, but there's, so I said, so it's $16. Is there anything added to that? And they said, oh, yes, there is. No, well, not like that, I'm saying. They said, yes, there is. And I said, what? Okay, I'm not exaggerating here, you guys. I'm not. And I went to so many. I'm gonna give you the price, the add-on cost of one unit, and every single one of them was real close to this. Okay, a couple of them were a little bit higher, and a couple of them were a little bit lower. But this was the average. Okay, they wanted $125 on top of it to do the pest control. I have never ever heard of an apartment complex charging $125 for pest control. That should be included in your rent. These complexes have like hundreds and hundreds of units. They were also charging $75 to $100 for water. And the water wasn't even going to be in your name. It was going to be in their name. And they were the ones that were going to give you a bill at the end. So that's way, for one person in a one small bedroom apartment, $100. Then they wanted you to get insurance, rental insurance, for $30. And it had to be through them. Rental insurance you can get for a one bedroom apartment, $12. But they said, no, you had to go through them. Okay, internet. They wanted close to $100 for internet. Internet you can get for like $39 on your own. But no, you have to go through them. Garbage. Garbage was part of the water. Okay, so we already did that. Parking. They wanted $25 to park your car in a stupid little stall in front of your apartment. They wanted an additional $25. So here we got parking. We got bug control. We got water. We got garbage. You're supposed to energy, which is no problem. But all this stuff added up. Really, and I know I'm missing something because it was like $350. So that $1,500 apartment they advertised, add on all the extras and the extra 100 because they didn't have an apartment for $1,500 at any of them. We're close to $2,000. Yeah, $2,000 for a not dumpy, but nothing impressive. Nothing impressive. The impressive ones are like $2,500, $3,000. How is it in your states? Is it just Florida? Is it just Florida?
Okay, guys, I'm going to read the comments. The comment says, I think more like 600 is reasonable for a 1 bedroom. Rents need to come down. Sandy says 1,500 for a 1 bedroom is robbery. I remember the days of a 1 bedroom with a den for 600, utilities included. How do they expect people to live? They don't care if you live. You still not getting it. Wake up. People need to understand they don't care. They don't. Who is they? The people who are profiting, the people who are running the world. They don't care. Okay? Because I know it's going to be some smart person in the comments. Who are they? Who are they? Someone says, Maya says, squeezing every last dime from the weakest among us. And this content creator is called Michelle St. John. You know, it's really sad because we're witnessing the breakdown of our society, guys. For the people who enjoyed it or came before it broke down, I guess you're lucky. For the rest of us, hey, we gonna just thug it out, as we say in Louisiana in the boot. We're just gonna thug it out. Like we're gonna make do. Uh the difference is the people who have been struggling, it's not for us because we've been struggling. But for the people who never struggled, man, this gotta be like one of the toughest times ever. Now check this. Wait till I show you when you do work.
All right, before I get started on my daily rant, I just wanted to apologize for this fucked up hair and the bandana. There is a protest here in about an hour in Irvine, in Orange County, California, and I'm going to go up there in the Mustang, and I am going to fire up the V8 with my Roush Axleback exhaust, and I'm going to burn it the fuck down in front of those people. I'm going to burn the tires off the car and smoke them out, and it's going to be epic. But I've got a rant first, so here goes. All right, so for my rant this morning, I have a list of insurance providers that cover trans-affirming surgeries. All right? All these companies I'm about to show you provide gender-affirming surgeries. So let's get this started. All right. All of these insurance companies cover trans affirming care. And all of these companies pay for trans affirming surgeries. Us hardworking, tax-paying Americans that have been putting money into the system for years and years and years and years. This affects our wallets. This comes from us. I don't think that I should have to pay for something that I vehemently disagree with.
Here's the thing. First of all, it's I feel where you're coming from. So I'm not even going to get into that spiel. I don't diss anybody based on how they orientation or anything like that. But there's other things that our money is taken. Like before we even get to that, it's so many other things that they take taxes out for that we never see the money go to. Let's talk about our infrastructure. Can we? And the thing is, can we at least? We can't even criticize where our money goes to because then people call us un-American. If you complain about what's going on, and guess what, guys? I earn the right to complain because I didn't been paying money into the system, guys. I've been working my butt off. You know what I'm saying? I've paid well over $200,000 in taxes at this point, and you telling me that I can't have an opinion? So I feel where this guy's coming from. I take that back. He should be able to have an opinion. Why? Because he's been paying into the system. If you've been paying into the system, you get to complain about what you've been paying into because you're like, what? Think about, guys, if they gave, if somehow the government or the powers that be gave each one of us 10 years combined of what we paid into it, we will all be rich. If you pay $20,000 on average a year in taxes, that's just the average person. I couldn't imagine what some of these business owners and stuff pay. Imagine how much money you would have. You would have, you know, 200, 400. Some people even have more than that, guys. If they just gave us a lump sum of all of the money that we've been paying into back. The craziest part is the taxes that we pay, guys. Let me go to let me show you something right quick. I'm gonna play a video, but I'm gonna pull something up.
How much will you pay in taxes if you make $100,000 in 2024? I'm going to break this down super simple because there's a lot of confusion when it comes to our tax system. And in this example, you're going to live in California. So we have our gross income, $100,000. For our federal tax, we'll take the standard deduction, $4,600, bringing our total taxable income to $85,400. So we'll pay 10% on the first $11,000 we make, totaling $1,160.10. Then we'll pay 12% on everything we make above the $11,601 and up to $47,150, totaling $4,266. Then we're going to pay 22% on everything between $47,151 and $100,525, totaling $8,414.78. So in total, on the federal side, we'll pay $13,840.88. And now we move to the California income tax. Again, we'll take the standard deduction, $5,363. Then we're going to be taxed 1% on everything we make up to $10,412. This is going to total $104.13. Then we'll pay 2% on everything above the $10,413 up to $24,684, totaling $285.44. Then we're going to pay 4%, which is going to total $571. Then we're going to pay 6%, totaling $907.32. We'll pay 8% on the dollars.
Guys, he's cooking right now, but we're talking gross income 100K. Am I the only one, man, that just thinks like, ah. But what I like to do is I like to focus on the problem because I go to war with this. I will not let it defeat me. But some would say, some of my mentors would say that I've already been defeated. That you were born in the system that was defeated. You were defeated when you were born into the system. In order for you to win, basically you have to comply.
Between $54,082 and $68,350, totaling $1,141.52. And finally, we'll pay 9.3% on the dollars between $68,351 and, in our case, $100,000, which is going to total $2,943.36. So on the total state tax, we'll pay $5,454.01. Now we're going to throw FICA in here. This is Social Security and Medicare. $6,200 on the Social Security side, $1,450 for Medicare. So total FICA will be $7,650. So for this example, your total tax liability will be $26,944.89. So that means if you're making $100,000 a year in California, you'll be netting about $6,000 per month. Now there's a big group of people making $100,000 a year in California living paycheck to paycheck. So what do you think? If you were making $6,000 a month, would you be able to save, or would you be spending it all on expenses? How much will you pay in?
Man, we're cooked. Man, we're cooked. Whoo. Oh, man. I gotta play some music after that. Woo. Man. Woo. Man, they took out everything. Man, you guys. Whew. What are the solutions? I'm glad you asked. We're going to have to get to some solutions. Man, that's a lot of money. It's funny to me, not because I think that it's sad that we're going through this. It's crazy that we're in a system. We're in a system, guys, where the more money every generation, according to the theory of capitalism, guys, there's a pie. Maybe I should use a graph. Okay. Okay, I use this tab. Okay. Okay. We're in a system, guys, where the more people are born, and every generation is going to take more dollars to pay for the same thing. It's going to take, listen to what I'm saying. According to the theories, all of the theories that I've read, we're in a system that every generation is going to take more money to pay for the same item that cost less previously. So for example, you ever heard your grandparents say, oh, in my day, something cost this much? and now it costs this much. Why? Because the more people that's born is more money our government needs to have in circulation. The more money that's out there, the less valuable the money is, because we were taught that scarcity is what creates value. So if there's more money floating around, the theory would dictate that the money would be less because there's more of it. So if in 1 year a house cost $65,000 in the 70s or 80s, but in 2025 a house would cost $415,000. The same could be the same house, the same type of infrastructure, but you're going to need more money to pay for the same thing. This is the problem that young people are experiencing. So, what are ways to increase your income? And this is what I would probably talk about later today, because we are smart. So when there's a problem, we're able to think about ways to overcome the problem. The way the human brain works is if you focus on the problem constantly, you're going to find a solution to the problem. The reason I played 50 minutes of problems is because you have to meditate on what the problems are. If you don't understand discrimination, injustice, what it is and how it functions, everything you think you do understand will only confuse you. People are paying money and they don't even know the money that's taken out of their checks, what is being spent on.
A revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today. And we're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we keep it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. It gets worse. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and many times through tolls that tax you again. And that's to maintain bridges and highways and tunnels that already have billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, allocated to them. And they're still falling apart. And then when it is taxed to exist in a corporation that is also taxed to do business, that almost certainly requires permits and other things, which are another tax, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on. Oh, by the way, the more money you make and the more you pay in taxes warrants the government taking more and even higher percentages of your money. Now, if you're angry, hold that thought. Our federal tax code is 2,600 pages, 400 pages longer than the unabridged version of the Webster Dictionary. But if you read that tax law cover to cover and you did your taxes solely based on that, you'd probably go to jail. Why? Because that does not include the over 9,000 pages of additional IRS regulations that were never passed into law, but rather written by some bureaucrat sitting in his office that we still